Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce our brand new sponsor here on IE Sports Radio. Another app company with apps like Me, BS Meter, and FaceFly. Another app company starts by building apps that you love and share them with the world. You can find them at anotherappcompany.com. That is anotherappcompany.com. You can find it in the Google Play Store. Coming soon to the Apple App Store. So if you want to make a meme of, Carson Wentz, if you're an Eagles fan, making memes about him, possibly being his last start, you can do that. Or if you're a big Kentucky basketball hater, you can make a meme about them starting 1-3. But go to anotherappcompany.com and just have fun with it. But on to the show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed to that is all sports. Coming to you live on a Sunday night here on December the 6th. The very first Sunday in December. And a couple weeks away from the start of the NBA season again, even though we just got done talking about the NBA season. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
Everything is pretty cool, man. Like you said, even though the season just recently ended, it's already just about to kick back in. I know that the preseason is coming up. So, the season is already, already back, man. It's definitely very, very exciting, to be honest with you.
Very exciting. A lot of news been coming out, a lot of mandates with the coronavirus and stuff like that. Portland had to shut down their facility after 3 positive tests. So some kinks got to be worked out, for the upcoming NBA season, but hopefully things get up and rolling from the start. But I think the big news that happened since last time we've been on live here, and we kind of touched on this during our draft talk a couple weeks ago during the NBA draft. Russell Westbrook, John Wall. The Rockets and Wizards finally did the swap. D-Lock, I think it's a lateral move between both teams What are your thoughts on this trade?
Well, for me, the thing is, we haven't seen John Wall play in a couple of years, right? So I can't like. It is a lateral move, yes, agree. But my thing is, the Wizards haven't had John Wall play for a couple of years, so the fact that they're going from a player who hasn't played in a while, who's somewhat been injured, to a Russ who's been playing, you know, I think that's probably the move that maybe they kind of wanted to make. Um, Now, the question about this is, how is this going to affect Bradley Beal? That team is really not bad. I mean, I think with the pieces that they do have, and Washington, Dallas Bertans, Rui Jamara, they got a couple other guys over there. So I think Ish Smith is over there as well. So they're pretty much a playoff roster type team to me, especially on the East. So, not a bad move. Expecting to see what Russ does out of this. I think he's also changed his number back to his high school number when before. So, it's going to be kind of interesting. But also, John Wall going to Houston is going to be interesting as well. I think I've seen a couple clips of him working out in Houston already. He looks pretty healthy. He looks pretty solid, but obviously anything could be seen a specific way before actual gameplay. So anybody could be seen different ways. So I think that it could work for them as well. They also got Boogie, so I think this is the first time that Boogie and John Wall be back together as teammates since college days. So hopefully there's still some kind of connection there, but also there's that big piece when I'm 13 on that team, James Harden, that's going to make an impact as well. So they also signed Christian Wood. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. But at the same time, we knew that Russ was going to have to get moved at some point. So it's expected.
I'll say this for the Wizards side. I think unless you're in a facility, how John Wall's progress is. As us, as commentators and stuff like that, we don't know what his status is, how he feels, because like you mentioned, he's been out of the court by close to 2 years. And we don't know, we don't know videos been out him playing and stuff like that, so we don't know what he looks like and etc. But for the Wizards, you get a guard that played last year, had caught the coronavirus, wasn't kind of himself, but seemed like he's okay right now. And you get a fiery competitor. You get him reunited with Scott Brooks, a coach that, had some of his best years with in his NBA career. Now, how you want to describe Scott Brooks as a coach, up to the debate. But, just look at this Wizards roster right now. You got the veteran backcourt with Russ and Beal. You did resign Bertans to an $80 million contract. That'd be up to date that he's really worth that because, he's a great shooter, but, defensively, does he offer you anything else? And all that. You made decent signs with Lopez. You hope Hujamara could take a leap forward. But, I just think it's the lateral move. And I think Wall has more years on his contract than Westbrook. Am I correct?
Yeah. I think he should be solid for a little while, but and that's what John Wall doesn't have too much. I think he needed an extension, I believe, at some point. Um, so that was going to be up in the air for the Wizards anyway. Now for the Wizards, you're gonna look at what Wall has done and then decide, but you're already kind of on the edge of paying him anyway, or expect him anyway. So now the fact that they shipped him, they've got somebody who's very similar, who's already contract is kind of set up already in Russ. So they don't have to go in there and say, hey, well, let's look at this play and decide what we're going to do. Russ is already locked up for a couple of years and, somewhat you know what you're getting out of him. But again, I think the biggest person that this is going to affect is Bradley Beal.
Yeah, and going to the Houston side of things real quick, and we'll dive more into Houston in our division preview series. For Houston, I know John Wall's come out and said Harden said he's going to be there in Houston, but I don't know if you saw the video like this yesterday or last night. Harden was out and about and was some rapper. I forgot the rapper's name. Some of these new age rappers, they all run together to me. But anyways,
yeah,
they say like Harden get to him like $100,000 and some honey buns and stuff and like a bag. But you can see in the videos and stuff. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But they had no mask on. Around there's other people hanging out, chilling. You got Steven Silas, kind of, I don't know, questioning if you want to be here or not. So, yeah, John Wall's going to come out and say the right things, but, it takes it depends on the face of the franchise if he wants to be there or not.
Yeah.
And,
the biggest thing is you're looking at the fact that it was already out of Harden. Come on, I do. Like, he turned down the contract, $50 million a year. Like, I don't care who the coach is. Hell, if you turn that kind of contract down, then you're talking about security. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have taken that contract and then requested to be traded. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that he completely turned it down lets you know where he stands. And you can say one thing, but again, like you said, if you're out and about, doing whatever, you're, at a concert or hanging with whoever, without a mask, it's kind of like you're showing, that you have no concern or no efforts regarding the Rockets. I think Coach Silas came out. I think I seen an interview that he had a couple of days ago when he was just talking about, hearing how Harden feels, and instead of forcing it down his throat to where he has to be in Houston, he's giving him his space. You know what I'm saying? Like giving him his space and then let him decide. Where it's clear, just by the decision that he's making, that he has no interest of being in Houston. So, like you said, it's going to be interesting how it plays out. Because like you said, with Wall or any player, most of the time they do interviews, they're going to say the right stuff. But what's bigger than words, as we all know, actions. So, we got to see how this plays out. But I'm not buying the fact that he's going to be okay with staying there.
And then also for Houston, can that backcourt really work with Harden and John Wall? Because John Wall got to need the ball in his hands for a decent amount. And he's, with Harden, he needs the ball a lot. Can Steven Silas find a way to kind of get James to play more off ball without having the ball in his hand most of the time? Because John Wall off the ball, that ain't a good look. I can't see, I can't see John Wall play off the ball.
Nah, you're talking about two players who, as we know, John Wall is a little similar to Russ, but very similar. But I don't know if it works. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, James Harden's going to be James Harden. I think right now we consider him to be top 5, maybe top 10 player in the league right now. So, does John Wall take that back seat, or is this just, hey, you know what, we're preparing for bringing somebody in with 2 players, preparing to get rid of 1 player. So, well, not get rid of, but yeah, getting ready to move on from, say, a player. So James Harden doesn't want to be there. Now they have a player. Russ didn't want to be there. Russ is gone. I don't think this is the end of hearing what's going to happen with James Harden. I think that there's more to it. Like you said, with the lateral move, you basically got you another player very similar to Russ, which means you're going to move any players that don't want to be there. So how old is Boogie Cousins? Maybe 28, 29 right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess you can kind of say you're kind of young with John Wall and Boogie. Christian Wood is there. There's a couple other moves that they made, but the biggest piece is what you're going to get from James Harden. And right now, I wouldn't necessarily say that I wouldn't sit and try to trade him to just Brooklyn Nets. I would look for the best trade available. You have the control of that either way. So now obviously it's going to be hard being the fact that he's basically vocally said he wants to be in Brooklyn and not to take the best trade, but you have him under contract. So, but I think that, again, like I said to your question, I don't think that those two are going to mesh very good ball dominant wise as they both are. So if somebody told me that in like 2 months or a month from now that James Harden got traded, I wouldn't be surprised.
And then, you brought up the off guard situation in Russ. At least Russ showed at times during his, basketball career, even back to college. Because you remember in UCLA, Russ played a lot of 2 guard before, Drew Holiday, left. Because Drew Holiday was that point at that time. And Russ played a lot of 2 guard because, I don't think freshman Russ going to take over Drew Holiday like that. But Russ played some 2 guard before. And I just think, if I had to choose a winner in this trade, I'd give that slight edge to the Wizards. Just because they're in the East. I think Beal bounced back with his injuries. Russ in a new situation. And then hopefully you get some growth at the young guys and stuff like that. I think their defense down low between the 3 through 5 is going to be an issue with Bertans, Thomas Bryant, Mo Wagner. You got some toughness with Lopez, but, he's seen better days. But, with them being the East and stuff like that, especially the division they in, I think they'll have a bounce back here and make it to the playoffs.
Yeah. Again, the Rockets is just that we're not talking about a scrub that you traded for, right? John Wall is pretty solid when he's on the court. My only problem is the health thing, and that's it. If he can stay healthy, the Rockets will be pretty solid.
Definitely agree. So we'll leave that at that, and we'll about to touch back in here in Houston in just a second. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue our division preview series that we started last week. We talked about the division, Pacific Division first. If you want to hear that, just go back to the playback on IE Sports Radio and we give our thoughts, who comes out on top, who we rank from 1 through 5, the whole 9 yards. So please check out the playback on that. This week, we're going to do the Southwest Division and how convenient, with the Westbrook and Wall trade. We'll talk about this division more in depth today. But D-Lock, I'll let you go first. From 5 to 1, how you got this division looking out this year?
And we're talking about the Northwest, right?
No, Southwest.
Oh, Southwest. I thought for some reason I always think about Northwest. I mean North West today. So right now, um, I'm gonna have to put the Spurs at the bottom. Right
Ooh.
now, I know that's pop, but I just the question with um DeRozan is the big deal for me. I don't. It just seems like the fact that he came out and just was talking about how he would be in awe of the Lakers and wanted to get him is just a complete like disregard to the Spurs to me. So, with that being said, not too much a key in on the Spurs. I mean, I know that Pop is kind of like a Bill Belichick, coaching him. I put those two, Nick Saban and Calipari, all in the same class. Also, the UConn women's basketball coach. So I have all of them in that category. But I just think that this conference or this division has got a hell of a lot better. I don't really see. I think the Spurs are on, what we call a rebuilding mode right now. So for me, I know they got a couple pieces there, but I just don't see them making a big push forward right now. I think these other teams, especially others like the Grizzlies, are going to make that big time push that's going to make them much better than the Spurs. So I see them at the bottom. I see them at 5. The next team, so right now I do have the Pelicans, a young team. They are full with a lot of potential. They're going to do a lot of things. Just got Eric Bledsoe. Still got Zion. I think you're going to see a full year of Zion. The fact that Lonzo, and we'll talk about him. Hopefully, we can touch on him a little later. But right now, I don't see Lonzo being there too long. We talked about it when he got in the bubble. It just seemed like he was completely checked out. It just seemed like he was just there because he was forced to be there. So for me, I don't. The Pelicans will make that push. I think we're going to see a better Zion. Also, I think that teams are going to key in on Brandon Ingram. Also, I think the fact that he was one of the most improved players this year, that was because he kind of went under the radar. So he's not going to go under the radar this year. I think teams are actually going to focus in and understand that this is a player that can make a big, big difference in the game. So I think he's going to be pretty solid, but also picking up Steven Adams, which I'm guessing he's going to make a difference. But why would you grab him when you got Jackson Hayes there? You're pretty young with Jackson Hayes there. But I do see them being the 5th team. I don't see them making a big time push. Oh, I'm sorry, I see them being the 4th. I don't see them making the big push just yet to threaten the teams at the top or the other teams that we have. 3rd, this is where it gets kind of tricky for me. I have Memphis at 3rd. And this team is very young as well. I love John Morant. Love what Dylan Brooks, that combination can be with Kyle Anderson. It's just that they're not there yet. They're just not there yet. I love Justice Winslow. I think that was a sleeper trade that they picked up from Miami that can make a big difference. But him, Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson, they have a lot of pieces. Is it? I can't even say it's not Valentine. I can't even say it. Jonas.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a couple guys. It's just that the West is a very tough conference. You put Memphis in the East, dude, they're probably going to get the 5th seed or something like that, 5th to 4th seed, in my opinion. But they're just in a tough, division right now. They're young. I give him another year and some change. I think when they can get Winslow in the fold, in their rotation with the Brandon Clark, they'll be solid. Kyle Anderson is like a more of a defensive player. Haven't really seen him do too much on offense. He has his spurts every now and then, but he's more so there for defensive purposes. He kind of reminds me of a younger Iguodala. So I have them being third. Second, and we just talked about this team, even though kind of was talking about that trade, but I do have the Rockets at second. And many people would say, well, John Wall is there. You don't know what to expect. You still see the Eric Gordon, X, Y, and Z. But the reason why they're second to me is simply because of one person that they have. It's James Harden, right? I think he can get you wins by himself. I think the fact that they have him, this puts them better than Memphis, better than San Antonio, better than New Orleans, because it's James Harden now. As if he stays there, right? And we're talking about right now. I think that they're going to be second. Now, another person I really, really like, I'm hoping that this guy gets back to himself, is Boogie Cousins. This guy, when he's healthy, he is one of the most dominant centers in the league. He can give you an average. He can average a double easily, and sometimes, if he's on fire, he can give you a triple-double. He can damn near get there. Sometimes he's sitting around that 9 to 8 to 10 assist range, already averaging plus 10 in rebounds and plus 10 in points. So if he can be the Boogie of old, again, like I asked you earlier, he's 2029. So if he can be healthy, be the Boogie of old, the Rockets could be pretty solid. Picking up Christian Wood was a solid piece. Obviously, this team, after realizing that going small ball the whole game is not going to work, they went and picked up some big boys and Christian Wood and Boogie. So they're trying to get bigger there. So this team is not bad. They have the guards. They have a couple of big men there. So I like them to be better than, like I said, most of the teams in this division. So expect them to be pretty solid, even if they get off of James Harden. And obviously, the fact is the top team is going to be the Dallas Mavericks. To me, Luka is in that same category as a top 5 player. I mean, it's debatable to many folks, but I just feel like his ceiling, and he's continuously trending up. So they're going up. Now, one big piece that they did pick up is Josh Richardson. One thing they needed on this team, and we seen last year, is they needed defense. So the big piece to pick up Josh Richardson, that was huge. We already know about Porzingis. If Porzingis can be healthy as well, this team can be very tough. Honestly, I think if Porzingis got ejected one game, I think, or he was suspended one game and got hurt in the playoffs against the Clippers, if he plays one of those games, maybe the Clippers don't make it to the Nuggets. So they're going to be pretty solid. Trey Burke, we talked about him, I think a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about how he's slowly coming to his own. He's coming to that play that we expected. He's playing at a very good level to me. And then also they have, the guys in rotation with, Kleber, who is a pretty solid player, and Finney Smith. So this team is built very good. Also, they got I think he'll be a Hall of Fame coach, and Rick Carlisle. That might be a stretch, but I think he's going to be pretty solid. It's going to be hard to. He's a hell of a coach. So you got him, and then obviously Tim Hardaway. So this team is very, very built to have the defense and the offense. But Luka by himself, he's gonna take this team a long way.
I think for me, and look at this division, it's really hard to gauge. It's like kind of a lot of what ifs in this division. Can Pop turn, a pretty mixed talent team of old veterans who are on the last year of their deals, along the young group of guys he got, and kind of do something with them? New Orleans, can Stan Van Gundy and possibly as his last stint as a head coach, do something special with this young group of guys with Zion and crew. Memphis, how they going to bounce back? How they going to latch on to the success they had last year and almost making the playoffs? Plus, you're missing out on Jaren Jackson in the start of the season with his tearing the ACL. Houston, James Harden, is he committed? And I just sent you a video of him at a strip club this last night. Is he committed?
Yeah.
Dallas, will Luka make his case being a top 3 or 5 player in the league? Will his name be etched in stone along with LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi, AD, then Luka? Maybe you could switch out James Harden in there, whatever your taste. But my number 5 team, it's tough. It's really tough. My 5 team, I gotta go with Memphis here. Now, only reason why I put Memphis in this spot, I think losing Jaren Jackson from the start of this season is going to hurt. Yeah, they might got nice. I mean, yes, they got Brandon Clark, who I like a lot. But I think if you look at some of these teams in the Western Conference and how, last week, I talked about I got 4 teams coming into the playoffs from the Pacific Division. Now, granted, yes, Memphis didn't make the playoffs. But I feel like somebody got to take a little tumble down in the standings. I think it'll be Memphis here just for this season. Now, like I said, they could surprise me and still be in the hunt come, the race to the playoffs. But I just think they take a little tumble. I think, John Morant, he'll put big stats with this team. But just looking around, I mean, Dylan Brooks, I think he'd be fine. As a backcourt mate. Where's the health of Justice Winslow? Will he come in and contribute very well? I know Valanciunas, he'll get his boards and points, but it seems like at times you wish he makes a better impact in games than he produces. Resigning DeAnthony Melton was pretty big for them. Yeah, I'm surprised more teams didn't, go after him this offseason.
Yeah.
But I just look and like one of these guys take a step back for a little bit, and I think it's going to be Memphis. But like I said, I don't expect them to be in this spot for long. And for me, putting them 5 doesn't mean, they're going to be the worst team in the West. My opinion. I don't think they'll be the worst team in the West. Some may have to go here, but they're not my worst team in the West. 4, San Antonio. I think, and I'm going to get this out the way. Thank goodness nothing happened to DeMar DeRozan and his family the other day with the intruder. Came to his house and face to face with his kids. I'm glad nothing happened there. Apparently, the psycho was trying to go to one of the Jenner girls' house and picked the wrong house. But luckily nothing happened to DeMar and his family. So, we seen that happen years ago with Sean Taylor. That incident there. But thank goodness, nothing happened there in that scenario. For me, for the Spurs here, like I mentioned, the older guys, LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan, there last year, the contracts, I think, Pop trying to maybe get one last ride out of this group, and then maybe they go on full complete rebuild. But I don't think it will be enough, this year. And it's for San Antonio. It's about who are you going to start? I mean, I know you got to have Aldridge and Patel at the forward and center spot. DeRozan at the 3. Then your backcourt, that's the real key. Can Lonnie Walker and DeJounte Murray take that leap? If those two dudes take the leap next year for this upcoming season, then cool. I think that you might have a sleeper team in the NBA. But I think there's so many teams ahead of them that I think, I don't think they can make that leap or not. Not this year. So I got them at number 4. And then also about the Spurs. If they have a rough season, I expect them to start selling off Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. To who? I don't know.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
But if they bomb to sell it, you might well come trade deadline in March, sell them off to somebody, sell them to, somebody who's in making that playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
But I got them number 4. Number 3 is the Pelicans to me. I can see it in the playoffs, D-Lock. If Zion's healthy throughout the year, Brandon Ingram continuing to grow from his game. If those two things kind of, happen, I think they can make a push for like one of the lower seeds in the playoffs. But that's a big if. And we're going to see this season, okay, if Zion has an injury, how long will they hold him out for said injury? Because we've been on here before. We kind of criticized Alvin Gentry, how he was handling Zion's injury, especially come the bubble time. When he really wasn't injured, but they kind of holding him off and whatnot. Zion said he, felt good, ready to play and all that stuff, more minutes. And, something is getting lost translation. Now, for me, I think it was coming to the season like, okay, he's out. He wants to play. Is it Stan Van Gundy making that call? Or this is above top Stan Van Gundy's head, and this is a ownership deal, a front office deal, a David Griffin deal. Which kind of make, what we discussed about Alvin Gentry make pretty bad because this is an ownership management type of deal. Trying to not be too risky with Zion.
Yeah.
You mentioned Steven Adams. They did give him an extension. You also brought up like Jackson Hayes. You got the same type of player. Why not roll with the younger, cheaper option?
Younger. That's my thing. Is you're like you said. I didn't mean to cut you off. It's the thing about the Pelicans. They're very young, so why not keep that crew and let them grow together, right? Jackson Hayes, we can clearly see if you just watch the Pelicans play. Pelican fans can see it. He is a stud. Like, he can be very good. But I think you're cutting his legs from under him by, minimizing his minutes. Now he got other people he can learn from. But Derek Favors started from him last year, right?
Mm-hmm. And he's back in Utah.
So yeah, he's back in Utah. So for me, I'm thinking that the better piece is you just let Zion and Jackson Hayes and B.I., all these guys, work together, and Lonzo as well. So it's dude, you got a team now that can be very solid for a long time. it's not about just right now. Like, how old is Zion? Zion is what, 20?
Yep.
So he's 20. Brandon Ingram is probably 25, 26. So you have a team that in about 4 or 5 years, right? LeBron is going to be gone at some point. He's 36 right now, so he's going to be gone. So the Lakers they're gonna replace, but you have a chance now to where this team can be consistently good for years, and Jackson Hayes can be part of that.
Very true. And Brandon Ingram's actually 23 years old.
Oh wow! See.
My biggest concern, and hopefully Sam Van Gundy will figure this out, the backcourt situation. You trade away Drew Holiday and you got a whole bunch of draft capital. Very good. I think, Milwaukee gave up too much, but, it is what it is. But you got to, especially the point guard position, Lonzo, Eric Bledsoe, and you drafted Hazel Green, Alabama's own Kyra Lewis this past draft. So you got 3 guards right there. Now Lewis, he's 19. Turned 19 not too long ago. So he's about the same age, or close to a Zion. So hopefully you think those two will go with each other. You really, you could probably play Kyra Lewis off ball, but that ain't his strength. It's him keeping that tempo, running and gunning up and down the court.
Yeah,
like how he played at Alabama this past year with the Nate Oates system.
Mm-hmm.
Playing in that system kind of vaulted his status. I watched this kid since his freshman year in high school, D-Lock. He always had this. He was always tall. The build wasn't there, but he always tall. He's very athletic, very fast. He left high school early to join Avery when Avery Johnson was still a coach, and thank goodness he did, because Alabama, they had great options at point guard there. Then Nate Oates gets there, the up-tempo play that he likes really kind of, elevated his stock, so much so, like, come closer to draft time, his name was talking about up and towards lottery. We're talking about Detroit taking him, the Knicks possibly taking him. We're in that talk with him. Eventually, he fell to the Pelicans, and I thought to myself, I'm glad he got drafted, but it's like, damn, okay, they got Eric Bledsoe, they got Lonzo. Where are we going with this? And you brought up Lonzo.
Yeah.
Either Lonzo gets moved, and you probably get some good draft capital out of him. Because if you're trying to shop Eric Bledsoe, you're not getting much for him.
Nah.
His play, and I ain't trying to diss Eric, but his play for the past couple of years, especially in the playoffs, really ain't been up to par. And what value?
I'm thinking this Lonzo move to me.
And what value you'll get for Eric Bledsoe, I don't know. Lonzo, if you do move him, where? Top of my head, I really don't know. I know the Knicks have been looking for like a star or something like that, a point guard. Maybe you take a gamble on him to sell some tickets. But does Leon Rose and company want to do that? But
If you listen to LeVar Ball, he's saying they all might be up in Charlotte.
hell, that might happen.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I got Pelicans number 3. I think, like I said, Zion's healthy, and they don't mishandle him throughout the season. Steven Adams in the fold. I think you got some stability, and he's only 27 years old. Steven Adams. I feel like he's been playing forever, but
Mm-hmm.
But you got him down low, so you at least got the dependency down there. Hope, like I said, Bi takes the leap. You still got Josh Hart in the fold and whatnot. But like I said, that backcourt situation, that's got to be figured out very soon. Now, what Sam Van Gundy got cooked up, we shall see. Because he's very good, using what he got, especially in those Orlando days, which I know you can very attest to. He can use what he has as his strength.
Yeah.
And if he can find that mojo back from those Orlando days, I think this team can go very far. But I think that backcourt situation may hinder them this a bit. Number 2 for me. I got Houston here. Now, if James Harden is committed and staying to Houston, I'll probably rate him higher. But his actions and stuff like that I've been seeing from social media the past few days made me think otherwise. I know Kevin Durant's come out and said, the talk for James Harden to trade to Brooklyn is nonsense and stuff like that. I don't know, man. It's just like so much. There's too much smoke going on with James Harden. Now, I think, both of us do like the Christian Woods signing. Got him a very good deal. Will help out with this, that spacing in the floor, especially as a big. He's 6'10", 6'11". Could, rebound pretty well. Can shoot the open three. Will help out in size in the Western Conference. Boogie and John Wall, if they healthy and Boogie can find his groove from back 3 years ago, I think, you could talk about a team that will make the playoffs. But there's so many question marks with the teams. Like, how committed is James Harden? How healthy is John Wall? How ready is he? How much dependability are they dependent on Boogie? How much are they trying to depend on him? I know it's like a cheap signing, but it seems like, they expecting something from him. PJ Tucker, he's kind of upset by his contract situation. How much, will he be committed throughout the year? And, we getting out Eric Gordon and whatnot. But, they really made no real changes with this roster except for adding Christian Wood and Boogie and John Wall. In my humble opinion. No real upgrades to the roster. You still got Daniel House. You added Sterling Brown into the fold. So it's not too much growth in this roster. This is like, yeah, you got Harden and Wall, but other than that, a bunch of middling players. So I got them talking about playoff chart, I really don't got them making the playoffs like that. But that can change. But it's Steven Silas is coming out saying, we'll talk to James when he gets here, how committed he is. This kind of screams like, Kobe. God, what year was that? Where he wanted to trade, and God, what season? What year was that? Like Kobe was unhappy. He wanted to trade.
Want to go to Portland, I think.
Well, actually,
he didn't want to go to Portland. Well, I think teams were trying to get him to Portland was trying to get him. I think everybody, but Portland was like one of the bigger teams that was noticeable.
Yeah, and well, that I remember Dr. Buzz. I think the story was Dr. Buzz, the late great Jerry Buzz. I had a couple deals on the table. One from Chicago, one from Detroit. I think another one. I think you mentioned Portland, but I think he liked the Detroit one better. But Dr. Buzz told him, because I don't think Dr. Buzz wasn't trying to trade no Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
But, he told Kobe what it was. Hey, man, I got these deals on the table. Either you act right or you gone. And, Kobe stayed, and then, the rest is history. And how convenient, that first game of the season, Kobe, when he traded, they played the Houston Rockets that season too. That first game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of questions. This Houston team, I feel sorry for Steven Silas that he came to the situation that, dang, I could, coach James Harden, Russell Westbrook, now to James Harden and John Wall, now to do James Harden wants to be here or not. Then, of course, my top seed in the Southwest Division, the Dallas Mavericks.
You know it.
Adding Josh Richardson to the perimeter will help defensively, like you mentioned. And also a guy, when he's open, he can make his open shots. I like the pick of Josh Green. You don't have him contribute right away. You still got Tim Hardaway in the fold, who, to pick up his player option this past year. But once, that deal's out of the way, come next summer, you got your replacement for him right behind him in Josh Green. I think the only thing I didn't like what they did in the offseason, I mean, granted, they brought back Willie Cauley-Stein. They didn't add that toughness. I know they got James Johnson with the trade with the Thunder. And I know James Johnson probably like the top 5 and people in professional sports you don't want to mess with. But, how much time is he going to really be playing, realistically? So I kind of wish, they went after somebody, a little bit tougher, kind of show that edge in the paint. The contract that Bobby Portis signed with the Bucks, that would been great, great place for Dallas for him. He'll play in that center spot. He can rebound, score. He, show a little bit of craziness to him. So I think that, that's what kind of Dallas kind of missed out on in the offseason. But, having Luka Doncic in the fold, like you mentioned, he's going to win some games for you. He's a walking triple-double. I think, this team will make the playoffs, because of this play. Cross your fingers that he never gets injured. I think Dallas will be an okay team as long as Luka's not injured. Kristaps, like when he's healthy, he's cool, he's healthy. When he's not healthy, it seems like sometimes Dallas doesn't miss a beat without him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
it's like, okay, Kristaps not playing. Okay, it's not the biggest deal in the world. Granted, yes, we like to have him, but we got Luka here, so we're all good.
yeah. Like they got Luka and they got Finney and they got Kleber. Like Boban is like literally ready to put up, a full game at any moment. You know what I'm saying? Like they're Kristaps Porzingis is a bonus for them. Not only is he a bonus for them, but he's more of a headache for other teams when he do play. So I agree with you there.
And then you got your front court, Dwight Powell still in the mix, Maxi Kleber as well. You brought back Trey Burke, who played pretty well for you. So like I said, as long as Luke is healthy and stuff like that, you'll make another playoff. I just got Dallas come out the division making the playoffs. Like I said, Houston can make the playoffs, but it's just like too many questions. Do they ship James Harden during the middle of the season? Do they ship James Harden within a couple hours of now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When does he leave?
I think it's too much uncertainty with me with James Harden to put them in a playoff spot. And his action and stuff like that, him not showing up to training camp and stuff like that, him at the strip club with the NBA now passing these guidelines and stuff like that with COVID-19. I don't know. It's going to be a rough season for Houston. My humble opinion. But I don't see Houston making the playoffs. I just got Dallas out of this division.
I mean, right now the West is tough, but the fact that Dallas they got Porzingis, like there's no way I cannot have them in the playoffs. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with other teams, and we'll go over them for the next show. Probably go with Northwest to talk about the Nuggets and Utah, that division. But right now it's just I think Josh Richardson is a bigger piece than people expect. The reason why not many talked about him in Philly is because that team is full of defensive players, right? I mean, him, Ben, and Embiid. So you have a shit ton of, defensive players, but now you take them to Dallas to where they're known for scoring a lot of points and letting letting the other team just score at will. I think we're going to see him a lot more now. So I expect for the Mavericks to make a big push. And I think that Josh Richardson will have a lot to do with that.
I definitely agree. And, could the Pelicans make a run to the playoffs? Sure. But, we'll touch on it next week. It's just like that Northwest division, they're going to make that pretty tough for these other squads. But I just seen Dallas just making out of this division. My humble opinion. Like I said, Houston can make the playoffs if not John Wall, but James Harden's committed. New Orleans can possibly make the playoffs if the young guys, click on all cylinders. San Antonio, this feel like one of those seasons they are under the radar and they can make a move to make the playoffs. Nobody's really talked about them. DeRozan and what's his name, Aldridge in last year contracts, so they could possibly make that last ride. But like I said, Dallas is the cream of the crop of this division right now. And I think they'll be the cream of the crop, for a long time coming, granted how long, depending how New Orleans comes up and along. But you got a top 5 player in Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
And top 5 Luka player, you got a top 5 player in this league. you guarantee making the playoffs. Wherever higher you seeded, you know, we've seen Kobe Bryant led teams, you know, until they got Pau Gasol making 7, 8 seeds, you know, to like Jordan teams that make the playoffs but get mollywopped, you know, before they got to the 90s, you know, before they get, you know, beat up in the second round or so. So we'll see how things shake out. And like we talk about next week, you know, that Northwest Division is going to be a beast.
Yeah, really is.
But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. Other news and tidbits. Kentucky, you know, 1-3 start the season. They lose to Georgia Tech. You know, Kentucky being down so early, you know, it's kind of surprising to me because I kind of had higher expectations with them. You know, I thought they brought in a solid recruiting class, but you know, them going down 1-3 so early, it's, you know, pretty surprising to me, to say the least. And then, you know, of course, you got Gonzaga and Baylor had that game canceled thanks to COVID restrictions within, I think, Gonzaga, I believe. So that game got canceled yesterday. Again, I think a lot of people were kind of, you know, waiting to see.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn, really? And that came at the last minute too.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough with a lot of these games with COVID. So it's I'm interested to see how this is going to go with you know, college basketball. Like it's going to see how things move forward with COVID, because you know it's going to be games where it's, you know, expected but can't be played because of. So I think even college football, you know, some games are getting rescheduled, some games are not. So I think we're going to see the same thing with basketball.
But, you know, the one real treat that we've been seeing with college athletics this year, you know, they be kind of, you know, hey, like if somebody's losing the game, they'll contact around and see who, you know, wants to play. Like I've been seeing that a lot here in Alabama. Okay, this team got with COVID. Okay, we're gonna ask around who else wants to play. Boom, we got a game next couple days. You know, stuff like that. So with this COVID situation, it's like, you know, yeah, you may have a tentative schedule, but if things change, you know, it's cool to reach out, you know, through social media or whatever, or through the phones to like make something happen. So hopefully, you know, with college basketball, that happens. We pray not a lot, but, you know, we pray, you know, okay, Gonzaga can't play. So us and Baylor, let's reach out to like North Carolina, see they up to play. Or reach out to San Diego State, see y'all want to play. You know, Kentucky, what's up with y'all? Y'all want to take another L? Let's play. You know, stuff like that, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. It's a shocker that Kentucky is 1-3 right now, to be honest with
you. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you with that. Like, and then this, you lose to a Georgia Tech that lost to a Georgia State team by double digits not too long ago.
Yeah, that's the only thing that keeps clicking in my head. Like it's you know, what is it right? I mean, dude, one thing I'm tired of people saying, and they just have to get over it with all sports, is they come back and say, well, because of COVID, like every team is dealing with that. So I don't want to hear that excuse, for any team. So even though, they are 1-3, there's no, well, because of COVID, this kind of affected every team is dealing with that. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, for them to be 1-3, that Georgia Tech loss was a big time shocker as well. But it's still early. Calipari will get them right, but maybe this is a year they may take just a slight step back and come back next year and be a lot better. We know college basketball college, any sports is different than professional because it really relies on the recruits that you get and the connection and chemistry that they get or they have. So this could be what we call an off year for Kentucky, which is probably usually a good season for most teams. But I expect for them to come around, but might see them look better next year.
And it's kind of looking ahead to Kentucky's schedule. They got Notre Dame next on the 12th. Then they got Detroit Mercy. Then UCLA. And then you got the in-state rivals in Louisville on the 26th, the day after Christmas. So pretty. Besides Detroit Mercy, pretty rough stretch there. 3 games there for Kentucky. So we'll see how things shake out for Big Blue Nation here in the next couple of weeks. But thank you for tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This has been our show here on IA Sports Radio. D-Lock, how can the people find you on social media?
Guys can definitely find me at Black-813 on Twitter and Instagram. Also soon starting up another blog. Gonna be working on different things, so getting some projects together. But again, Black-813, Black, the word dash, DASH 813 on Twitter and Instagram. I don't know where they can find you at, man.
You can follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That is Spawn4288 on Twitter. You also find me on my other podcast, The Crux Process. You can follow that on Facebook and Instagram. I posted a little lengthy post about Paul George on The Crux Process on Instagram. So if you ain't following me on there, please do. And we'll probably talk about that next week, D-Lock. But, the comments he made when he's on Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson's show kind of like grinding my gears a little bit. It's like, no accountability at all. So, probably something we touch on next week. You can follow me on there. Also, please do follow us on Twitter on Fast Break on IESR. That is Fast Break ISER. Do go to the website on IESportsradio.com. Check out the previous playbacks of our show. A lot of other shows we do on the network. Buy some merch while you're there. For very nice gear, especially the black and white t-shirts that we sell on iSports Radio. Please do. And we'll be back here next week. And we'll talk to y'all later.
Out.